retired homicide detective. I've interviewed thousands of people, from serial killers to ministers. Welcome to the interview room.
Possible GTA suspect there now, 4730 Crystal Springs Drive in the parking lot above the merry-go-round. Two males, no further description.
They're playing my song.
To a black Cadillac
Welcome to the interview room.
Exchanging plates, vehicle license Utah 2904, in California, Paul William Nora 011. Code 2 incident 3196.
Wilshire units additional 211 in progress, 1818 Southwest.
Give folks a minute so they know this is live.
1507, Roger. All units, 1507 is following a Code 37 vehicle, 77 Buick Regal 2-door. He is on the southbound Harbor Freeway from the Hollywood Freeway. It is a 2-door Buick Regal 227. Tom Zebra Paul has...
Southwest units, all units, citizen reports officer needs help, 3742 West Martin Luther King Boulevard. Citizen reports officer needs help, 3742 West Martin Luther King Boulevard. Code 3 incident 3142.
Aloha, everybody.
When in Hollywood, no Hollywood available. Domestic violence. 5179 Fountain Avenue. Code 2, RD is 669, apartment 8, incident 227. Wilshire Unit City, Wilshire Unit 211, GTI occurred 3921 Wilshire Boulevard.
Superhero.
84 Thunderbird White. Possible license 1 Lincoln Zebra John 415, 1 Lincoln Zebra John 415. Northbound Gramercy, 5 to 10 minutes ago. Two male Caucasians, 20 to 25 years. Both had guns. Number 1 wearing white pants and a black shirt. Incident 329 Wilshire.
Welcome to the interview room, everybody, on this beautiful Sunday evening. If this is your first time here, we ask just one thing, and that you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and you pass this on in all of your social media networks. For that, we would be grateful. We want to thank all of our Patreon members and, of course, our subs who are always here faithfully. We sure do love and appreciate each and every one of you on a Sunday evening. And, of course, all of our members in the interview room, not only on Patreon, but as well as just here on YouTube. We're so grateful to each and every one of you, and we're appreciative of your support and your help at keeping this program going. We're into 4 years now, just about 210,000 subscribers. It just keeps getting better and better. For that, Buddy thanks you. He's right behind me, as you can see. Jack Russells are always causing problems in a good way. We love him. Where did he go? He's hiding behind me somewhere. We want to thank our mods. We have the best mods on YouTube. Of course, Teresa M, Maui Girl, Mimi J2, Miss Sophia, and Laura. Without you ladies, we cannot pull this off. So continue to thank them, everybody in the chat. We just think they're just amazing and fascinating women. They so smart, so smart. I can't tell you how many times they've counseled me behind the scenes, and they have continued to help this channel grow, and we're grateful for that. As you could tell, I got my board fixed and working thanks to Josh over at the lab. He sent a bunch of things in and says, dude, check these settings. I did, And lo and behold, hopefully you guys could hear that music clearly tonight versus, all the other times where people were saying it was in and out, in and out, in and out. All right. Well, as Maui says here, or excuse me, Mimi says, trigger warning tonight. We're going to talk about the mom, Jenn Soto, in Madeline's case. And I'm going to approach this a little bit different than probably a lot of other people. I'm going to approach it from 13 years in homicide, having sat through these interviews, hundreds of them, literally, and interviewing people from all walks of life, from, you name it, from preachers to, hardcore serial killers. So I'm going to approach it from sitting in that chair listening versus just kind of opining on what I think or what I may not think. We have a lot of information to cover. We can look over a tremendous amount of information that's already been out there, and we can measure that. But tonight I'm going to literally approach this as if this thing was kicking off, and these guys and gals who've done an amazing job, in my opinion. There were some, hiccups, I'm sure of it, but I'm not seeing, too many of them, to be honest with you. So as we go along here this evening, feel free to ask questions, throw them up in the chat. Also, though I will give you a heads up, you guys all know me. Once I kind of get into a groove here, as for some reason I just get into that groove as if I was, sitting there. Also, if you want to see this with closed caption, just hit the CC underneath your screen there, and the verbiage should come up in closed caption. That is controlled by YouTube, not me on this side. So if you want to see the closed caption, please do that as well. So let's get into it, everybody. What do you think? I mean, there's so many opinions out there about Jenn Soto, and that's who we're going to focus on tonight. You've seen the uncut version of her interview. It's been up for a couple of days, and now I'm going to kind of opine, at least give some opinion in relationship to what I think I'm hearing, and then you guys tell us what you think you're hearing. And I'm also going to give you some observations about the type of room that they selected. Let that car go by. The type of room they selected, why they probably selected that room, and then a couple other things that I think folks have not caught yet. So that said, let's get into it. Can everybody hear the sound in the interview room? In this particular room. I'm assuming we can. Okay, you guys have seen this, probably some of you a dozen times, maybe more. But the one thing I want to point out, first of all, right from the get-go, is the type of room, okay? This is called a soft room. And the reason it is a soft room is because typically these types of rooms are preserved for a few types of personalities. Meaning SA victims, children, folks that are, overwhelmed emotionally. And so the first thing that's very interesting from the get-go here is the room in of itself. Now, folks are probably going to opine about the clock not working. Sometimes that can be on purpose, because you want to lose a sense of time, and you want the perpetrator, if you're trying to get information out of them, to lose a sense of time as well. But the first thing that you're going to notice, if somebody is going to be interviewed in this type of room, then what you want to do is just invite them in. And then the investigator is going to watch where they go.
With all kinds of people stuff.
Okay, the first thing from the get-go, he established a territory on the right, and you'll notice, where did she go? Let's see how many detectives we have in the chat. Probably 100. That's right. Amanda, you got it. You win tonight. She goes right to the middle of the couch. Now, immediately, that should tell us something. Okay? And what that should tell us is most people, if they're not holding something, i.e., jeopardy, that's what we'll call it tonight, okay? They will go to either the far left or the far right, but she chose the center of the couch. That is a very clear subliminal message through her body language. And she's going to maintain that position. So that kind of gives a 50-50, presentation right from the get-go, from the very beginning of this whole thing. And you'll notice the detective had set his notebook down to the right there when he walked in. He didn't tell her she couldn't sit there, though. Okay. And so the fact that she chose the middle tells us, if I was that detective right from the get-go and I walked in and I saw that positioning, I would immediately think, okay, this could be a little bit more challenging than I thought. Now, see, she's positioning herself to get comfortable, but all she has to do is move. Hand positions are in front. Covering. She seems as if she's just exhausted, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. She's just out of gas. Now, that could be a variety of things, obviously. It could be medications. It could be emotions. It could be holding back information, stress. But you'll notice her hand positioning there is over her lower private parts or close to them. Now, there could be a lot of messaging taking place there. Okay? And obviously we find out later on that messaging was brought out during this conversation. She's thinking, she's contemplating, and you'll see that she gets closed even further as the detectives start to come into the room. She's very guarded. That's right, Grammy. So we're going to watch a little of this together, and I'll opine as it's going along.
Told me. My name's Kevin. I work for the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I met Detective Smallwood from Kissimmee. The goal, obviously. Now, the tactic of walking in and dropping your notebook and then slamming the door is he's setting a very clear message here. Okay, he's not the good guy. The guy who started the conversation is our good guy tonight, everybody. The guy on the left, okay, he's somewhat of a jerk. He's not in reality. He's probably a tremendous, amazing human being, but in this particular play, he's your bad guy.
Kissimmee Police Department's doing most of this investigation. We're at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Our people, we have resources out there, obviously doing active. So it's kind of a joint effort. So Detective Small is kind of ready to read through the timeline of everything else.
Small talk to overwhelm her emotionally.
You want me to go through the whole timeline?
Yeah, we'll start with Sunday. Take you through Sunday.
Okay.
Okay, now the whole purpose of that very swift, let's get to it type of opening. Now remember, they've communicated already before. The guy on the left has already been, talking to her. He says that obviously in the interview as it goes along. But the detective on the right, his whole purpose here is to just add a little stress. It's kind of like putting, hang on for a minute. My wife is saying that the audio is coming through my speakers. Sorry about that. Anyway, I just lost my train of thought, but the whole purpose of him setting it up for a little stress on her is kind of like, the old saying, put a frog in the pot and then turn the heat up, very slowly, and the frog doesn't realize it's getting cooked.
Sunday. Here's a tissue.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, grab some. So actual tissues?
That'll work.
I can give you this whole roll.
So Sunday, birthday party. She spent the whole day at my mom's house. They celebrated with the whole family. I was at work.
Now we've all heard this 100 times from her. It's mechanical. She's just coming right into it. Okay. We noticed the detective to the left. He's ignoring her. Okay. He's ignoring her, meaning he's looking down. He'll look up for a minute. He'll look down. Okay. But his role here is just basically not play, I'm buying everything that you're selling here, especially a big box of, soggy bread. Okay. But the fact that she's positioned in the middle tells us that she may or may not be honest. And now you look where her hand positioning is. It's even gone further, covering her private parts. Okay. Now that becomes significant down the road here in this interview, because later she admits about knowing some of the information that was taking place. But this messaging right from the get-go, okay, subconsciously she's processing information and she's trying to conceal herself, which is a basic position in body language, to hold off and to hold you back.
Started a new job last week or the week before.
Okay. Where's that at?
Walt Disney World at Coronado Springs, front desk concierge.
Okay.
I was finishing up my last day.
Now look at the detective's foot on the left. He's got leakage.
Sunday in the middle of training.
Watch his feet.
I couldn't miss to go to her birthday party. So I went to work.
He's thinking.
It was my family all day. She had the best day. She was so happy when I got home and I saw her. At my house around 8:30 that night. I wasn't home. She got dropped off alone. About 10 to 15 minutes later, Stephan showed up.
At your house in Kissimmee?
At my house in Kissimmee, he called me. Or he texted me, I don't remember. But he let me know he was there and that she was getting ready for bed. She was doing her routine. So she took her nighttime meds and she got in the shower to get ready for bed.
What meds? What does she take?
She takes hydroxyzine.
Okay. What is it for?
It's for anxiety and for sleep.
Okay.
Now, an interesting thing here, remember one of the most interesting things as this interview starts to progress is, notice the detective on the right. I think his name is Detective Kevin. Is that what everybody's calling him? He did a great job. I'm not critiquing him at all. Okay. However, there are a lot of electronics in this room. He's looking at his phone or his watch right now because he's getting text messages. The other guy has a phone, you know, and to me, I'm old school. That is, you know, taboo. Those items should have been left outside. That's just me. That's the way we would always do this, because, you know, this is one of the reasons why she's talking. And where's he at? His attention is down at his watch. Okay, and the other guy, watch his right foot. You'll see it start to jump all over the place.
Now, could she take that by herself, or would he have given that to her?
I think she took it by herself. She got home and she had already taken it.
How do you know that?
That's what he told me.
That's what he told you. Okay.
He was there when you got home? You got home, they were already at the apartment? Okay.
So they go, remember the whole goal here in the very beginning of this, in this interview, is to get her to cop out what kind of information she may or may not have. Whether they believe her or not, they definitely know a lot of information in relationship to what Stephan has been doing. They have the video, you know, of him driving around, etc., but they're not sure what role she's playing yet. Okay? And the fact that she's sitting in the middle of the couch, as crazy as this sounds, that is a very huge messaging. Okay? And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to lock her down with a theme. Okay, and that theme is going to be very clear pretty soon here, where they're going to drive her into this thought process, and actually she's going to drive herself into this thought process of, look, if you know anything, you've heard anything, you've seen anything, anybody around you, anything, yada, 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 nobody's going home, including all of these investigators that are working out here, until that information, whatever it is put up onto the table. And watch her hand positioning through the very first part of this entire interview. Okay? She's not going to be moving around. Interviewing somebody like this who has jeopardy, and eventually it will come out that it's SA, and or at least their belief is that she has knowledge of that. But look where her hands are. Okay? She is covering. Okay? And so maybe she's processing either future events, past events, not only involving Madeline, but potentially herself. There may have been situations in her life, but she is basically just mundane. She is disconnected, and yet she wants to be helpful.
I don't like her taking her meds without somebody visually seeing, watching her, because I don't want her to accidentally grab the wrong pill. She's comfortable enough to grab the pill, but I'm like, no, I need to watch you take them.
Has there ever been an issue with that in the past, where she took too many or took the wrong thing? Or just like a thought in your mind?
No, just a thought in my mind, just me being hypervigilant. I want to physically watch her take her meds and watch her grab two, take them. I don't ever want there to be an accident of she took too many, or she took, my biggest fear is that she would take Adderall by accident, her daytime meds.
Got it.
I got home around 10:30. I started getting ready for bed myself. I started eating and taking my meds, because I have to take meds. When I went to take my meds, I realized, oh my God, I forgot to take my Saturday night's meds, which is why I felt so weird and so abnormal and not myself Sunday while I was at work. Everyone at work noticed I was acting different and not being myself. Like, I couldn't smile in front of the guests. I felt this wave of depression that I hadn't felt in years. It was my bipolar symptoms coming up again, but I've been medicating myself for all this time. I realized I forgot to take my meds, and I said, you guys, I need a good night's sleep. I need to take my meds. I sent them to sleep upstairs in the guest bedroom so that I could get a good night's sleep. suggested that we all sleep together in the same bed together, but not the easiest person to sleep with. She rolls around, she punches, she kicks. We have a king size bed and she typically sleeps on one side and she'll end up on my side when we wake up.
Okay.
So I asked her, I'm like, no, please, I need a good night's sleep. If you guys can go.
Now, the detective played that perfectly, as if it was, initially no big deal, right? You heard how he answered it. Remember, I always talk about the word okay? And well, you just heard Kevin say, okay.
Go upstairs and let me sleep. I had asked Stephan to take her to school in the morning.
We'll go to Sunday. So Sunday you took your meds. What meds, if you don't mind me asking, what meds do you take? And like, how does it, do they put you to sleep deep? Does it help you fall asleep or does it help regulate you? What kind of happens when you take the meds?
So they do all of the above. They make me sleepy. They help me stay asleep. And they help me function. So I'm stable all day. They only work well if I've got a good night's sleep and if I've eaten with them the night before when I take them, or the night I take them.
Now, what he's doing here is he's not really interested in her meds. He's trying to establish state of mind. And if that state of mind is determined based on the medication, and or if she needs that medication for a stable state of mind. That's what he's trying to establish here through this whole medication conversation. Because if, in fact, she was under the influence of medication, then the question has to be, can she form the intent to whatever type of crime they were looking at in this situation? And at this point, they have his, a lot of the information that they knew, but they wanted to hear from her and kind of lay a baseline of whether or not she knew. Okay.
The medication is called Geodon. Generic brand is called Zifrazidone. I took my meds, and then I told them to start getting ready for bed.
You see, but this is important. Okay, Lakeside Laura, this is a great point. It was my bipolar symptoms, so many excuses. Absolutely. And that's why they need to establish whether or not she has the ability to form, okay, the intent to commit a crime. Or does she even understand that what society says about, this kind of problem, i.e. sleeping, letting your kids sleep with somebody else? Is she does her mental state and her mental capacity fit into the elements of, she knew exactly what society said and she knew it was wrong. Okay? Then she can form the intent.
To start heading upstairs and get ready because it was already almost 11 o'clock. It's past her bedtime. She needs to go to sleep. So I sent them upstairs. I think he may have come down at one point to pee before bed, and then he went back upstairs. He uses my restroom because the roommates upstairs don't want to share a restroom with a male.
Okay.
Yeah, so he uses my restroom. Sorry, where did I?
You're fine. Sunday night he came downstairs, maybe overnight to use the restroom.
Yeah, and then he went back upstairs and they went to sleep. Or what I think they went to sleep.
Okay.
I went to sleep. I was woken up at some time. For the longest time, I've been saying he woke me up at 8 o'clock in the morning because I assumed he was taking her to school and getting ready for school. But in reality, I don't know what time he woke me up. The sun was out a little bit. It was still a little dark. And I was very sleepy when I got up. I was kind of drunk.
So remember, let's go back to why the significance of sitting in the middle here. All right. because we're going to get into the attorney stuff. We're going to get into, the sleeping in the bed stuff. But notice how, what is that stuff? Where does that stuff come from? It comes from pressure based on the evidence that's presented to her. But notice she picked, again, the center of that couch. The center of that couch, again, tells us she may say something, she may not. I may know something, I may not. And so she's constantly playing the middle, all right? And until pressure is added, that's when you'll see her body start to position and change, okay? And then she'll start to position herself to one side or the other. And in a homicide interview, once she knows it's a homicide, i.e. she probably knew, right from the get-go. That's exactly right. She's straddling the court of public opinion. She is straddling the fence. That's exactly right. Okay? And this is important to remember here at this phase of this investigation. i.e. the investigators, hold all of the cards. And what they're doing is you've got the frog in the inside of the pot and the kettle, and they are starting to turn the heat. Slowly, they're turning the heat. Kevin is not doing it yet. The other guy to the left is doing it. He's pretending, well, he's not pretending, but he's focusing on her. Look at his positioning now, and he's taking notes. Guilty parties will process what the other guy is doing. Okay, he's the guy that dropped, the notebook on the table, made a lot of noise. He slammed the door in the interview room when they first came in.
But he came in to walk the dog, to put the leash on the dog and walk him.
Was the dog in the room with you?
Yes.
So did he wake you up on purpose, or was it just kind of the causation of him opening the door and you realizing somebody was there?
Yeah, the causation of him putting the leash on the dog, because the way the dog reacted, he gets very nervous and will urinate if you put the leash on him too directly. You have to be nice and talk to him. He's a very he's a nervous dog. Yeah. So I got up to try to help him, and he said, no, go back to sleep, I'm fine, I got this. And I said, you sure? I said, yeah. So I laid back down and went to sleep. I heard noise in the kitchen.
Now, I have a question about that leash dog idea here. That could be, obviously, the cover story. We've said it from the beginning that Maddie was probably strangled. That leash and dog play, I'm not going to discount that as being in play. I don't know. But the fact that he reacted the way that he did, i.e. go back to bed, okay, and it's not the dog that did the crime. Of course not. Okay, I love it. Okay. But are there items that could have been utilized for taking her life? And I would submit to you a dog leash could be utilized for that purpose.
But I'm not sure who it could have been getting ready, but it could have been Stephan, it could have been any of my roommates. I fell asleep again, and I didn't wake up, I think, until 9 o'clock in the morning.
Did you ever leave the bedroom in that time frame?
No.
So he came in, you were kind of awoken up based on him interacting with the dog, but you stayed in bed, you didn't leave the bedroom. So if you woke up at 9, so you never...
That morning.
Monday morning.
No.
So the last time you would have been Sunday evening?
Sunday.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
You're fine.
I want to see her. Yeah.
Take a minute. Okay? While you take a minute, I was going to ask you earlier, has anybody reached out to you during the time that we've been investigating this?
Okay, so that was spontaneous emotion with an awkward pause. You will be surprised, a really great interviewer will just pause and wait. And you'll notice this is coming right after the dog conversation. So within the last minute or two of her processing something, all of a sudden she has this minor emotional outburst. After the detective paused, she leaned her head to the side. Emotion came. And so she's thinking about something going on up there. And then it expresses itself quickly.
About that or anything else? Negative, positive, neutral?
My best friends have all been in contact with me, just trying to help me. There's setting up Facebook groups, flyers,
No negative interactions with the public or anything? Nobody's reached out with tips or accusations or anything like that?
Not that I've seen. I've been avoiding social media because my family's telling me to not go on.
Would you be okay with our digital people looking at your phone to verify there's no stuff coming into socials, text, things like that?
That's fine.
Do you have a phone?
Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll plug it in, they'll do a forensic download of it so they have the data. That way they can go through it and say, we did receive things, we didn't receive things, here's the communications in and out, things like that, so we can verify that for you.
That's fine.
Do you have a password on it?
030288.
Now, she didn't hesitate, and he's going to walk out and hand it to his Celebrate team, who's waiting out in the hall.
Is that a birthday?
My birthday.
It's your birthday?
Yeah.
Your birthday's tomorrow. Right.
Today's the 1st. I didn't even know. This is the worst birthday ever.
Now, a lot of people may feel uncomfortable about watching that piece of this puzzle. But there's a whole bunch probably going on here internally. Remember, this isn't the first interview. This is the one where they're sitting her down and they're trying to move her towards what do you know. And so a lot of this is maybe there's a couple of things that came to my mind initially. Now that everybody knows a lot of the things that she's revealed, but at this juncture, nobody knew what was going on. Even the investigators didn't know what was going on. That's why they're having this interview. So it's easy for, a lot of folks to say, oh, look at this, yada, yada, it's an act or whatever. This is not an act. Okay? This is a process of, again, 50-50. What if I say this, then that will lead to this. If I say this, that will lead to this. So this is a product of fear, emotion, knowledge. All of this behavior right here is genuine. It's genuine. Now, it doesn't mean she doesn't know, because I think we have established that from the get-go just by where she sat. Okay? But from this point now, she could be thinking about, okay, I just handed him my phone. what's on my phone. That may be, you know, giving up the ghost. What's in my past, i.e., what kind of trauma has she had in her past? What has Stephan done? Where did he really do this? I'm not, you know, for her, I'm just processing, putting myself on that couch. Okay. Am I going to jail? That's another one, C-Star. That's a great point. Okay. All of these emotions are coming to the surface here. And you'll notice the detective, he's not confronting her. He's letting her express that emotion, okay, i.e. get it out of you for a minute, because at some point we're going to turn the heat up a little bit more. Now see, that response right there is exhaustion. She obviously has many, many mental health issues. That's a no-brainer. But here now, this is a comfort position. It's almost like a child, where her arms are across the front. It's almost like she wants to wrap her life into a fetal position for a moment. That is just pure exhaustion, emotion, trauma from a whole bunch of different directions. Is she genuinely worried about her daughter? Does she know? That's what the investigators are trying to get to. Or if in fact, you know, we used to say there's no such, it's not against the law to be felony stupid. That's what we used to say. Okay. There are, believe it or not, people that the light bulb is not the brightest in the ceiling. And so if she's been lying, or is this genuine, you know, I think it can go both ways at this point still. And that's why I keep saying 50-50.
That way they can get that going, so we can get it back to you before we're out of here.
They don't know that yet. But I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me personally, in my experience, that's saying she's participated in the death of her daughter. I'm seeing something going on here that she's not telling us, but we don't know. To me, I would have not known what that was yet. Kevin eventually got to it. And it was about, obviously, having her daughter sleep in the same bed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So you said about 9 o'clock on Monday, you wake up?
Yeah. I wake up. I have a doctor's appointment. I leave sometime between 9:30 and 9:45. And I head over there. It's blood work appointment. The appointment's for 10:15, but they take a while to see me.
Where was your appointment at?
LabCorp. And do you want me to tell you exactly which one?
Sure.
Oh wait, I'm on my phone.
When we get it back, we'll back to it.
It's, if you need to Google it, it's the LabCorp across the street from the Loop.
See, and that nervous laughter is not about the situation. It's releasing stress. So that's not uncommon for anybody in these kind of situations.
Okay, got it.
Had my appointment. I finished there sometime between 11:15. Then I headed home. When I got home, Stephan was there. I had talked to him a little bit earlier while I was waiting for my blood work appointment, and he let me know, oh, I'm so sorry, I left my phone at home by accident. School, everything went great.
Now, see, that's not scripted. That's not scripted. I agree. She gave him access to Maddie. There's no question about that in my mind. No question. And maybe that's the pressure. Maybe that's the reason why she keeps covering, down, into her lap. Okay. Maybe that's all related to the SA in her mind. And maybe that's going to be the reason why you see her when she starts getting the information from the investigators that, look, this thing is down for the count. Madeline's gone.
She got up super early, got up really quick. She slept most of the way in the car. I asked her multiple times if she wanted McDonald's, but she said no. Because that was the plan, was that they were going to stop at McDonald's that morning to go get breakfast.
Right.
He said that he had gone to the vape shop and they were closed and they didn't open. So he waited there for a while and left, and then said he was going to go back later. When I saw him at the house, everything was normal. We were chatting, we were talking, he was acting normal. He was sitting in my computer chair just messing around on his phone. While we were hanging out, he mentioned something along the lines of, oh man, I've been avoiding this phone update for a really long time. I should probably update it now. And I said, do it, don't avoid it, just get it over with. And he updates his phone and then tells me, oh my God, I don't know what button I just pressed, but I just factory reset my entire phone. And I said, how the hell does that happen? That gives you options now when you reset your phone? He goes, yeah, apparently I wasn't paying attention and I just pressed the button and it happened. And I said, oh, that's unfortunate, that sucks.
Okay, so what do you guys think about that? Because I think, well, I'll wait till you guys tell me, that I don't think that's scripted. I got to be honest with you, that my opinion, that stuff like that is as spontaneous as this, meaning where it has a flow to it, okay? It's hard for people to script that. It's very difficult to script that, okay? Always like everybody, she knew, okay. Totally scripted twice. Let me see what everybody else is saying. We've got some agreeing, some disagreeing, okay? She's obsessed with him. Yeah, but, why add it to the story if it's scripted? What value does it have when you're talking about your daughter being missing? Huh? What's the value, right, from an investigative aspect? Okay. I love the different opinions. This is awesome. I believe Jen is SS perform when she's crying as well. Yeah. But what's the value here? And for mom to add that detail into the investigation, because at that point, she is now stepping into a zone of potentially accessory after the fact. That she is going out of her way to cover his tracks, but she attributes it to him. Okay? She attributes it to him. Because I think Kevin, if he thought that was a red flag, he would have stopped her and said, well, wait a minute. What happened? And he didn't do that. He didn't go there. In fact, he let her keep running.
Later on, he tells me he's going to go back out, and I think this is around 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Still on Monday?
Yes, still Monday. 12:30.
D, I'm going to answer your question, absolutely 1,000%. 1,000%. Remember, predatory behavior, specifically guys who choose children, they not only choose the victimology, i.e. the child, but they choose the family. They choose the family. And, you know, she is perfect. She's perfect. Because even through this interview, she's telling the detectives, well, wait a minute, why would he lie to me? Meaning, let me get this right. You've let your daughter sleep with this guy. You've slept with this guy with your daughter. You've woke up in the morning with him, you know, cuddling her and spooning her and all the other stuff that we're going to hear about. Okay. And she's still like, do you think he needs a lawyer? Okay. I don't think all the lights are on. I don't know if it's the medication. I don't know, you know, what's going on there. But there is definitely a tremendous disconnect, and that is advantageous to the predatory.
Yeah, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He tells me he's going to go back out. He's going to stop at a few gaming shops, and then he'll meet me at the house at 2:30 so we can be together. He left. I hung out in the house for a while. I was waiting for 2:30 to roll around. 2:30 rolls around, and I'm already calling Stephan, and he's not picking up his phone. 2:30 comes, I leave. About 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from him going, I just got back home. I left my phone home again. I'm so sorry. How long ago did you leave? And I said, about 10 minutes ago. He goes, I'm so sorry, I missed it. I really wanted to go with you. And I'm just like, it's fine. I figured he wasn't going to make it because when I looked at the time when he left and said he was going to visit 3 shops, I didn't think he had enough time to visit them. He told me while he was gone that he got a flat tire somewhere on 182. The wheel just shredded and fell apart. So he was changing the tire, and it took him a really long time to do it.
Now think about that for a second, how she presented that. And you notice the 2 investigators didn't jump on it. He told me while he was gone that he got a flat tire. That's a true statement. She's not trying to embellish it. She's not trying to cover for it. She's not trying to say it's connected to her disappearance. She's just saying he told me while he was gone. Okay? That is a very straightforward, you know, truthful statement, in my opinion. And both of those investigators didn't react to that either, because they're sitting there going, Because they're in the backside of this, they have that information in there. And what she's doing is she's filling in, at least 50% of the story. Okay? She's filling in that gap. She's not running from that gap. And she didn't run from the reset of the phone.
He said he hurt his thumb while changing the tire, like the frame or something slipped and something pinched his finger and he ended up having to yank it out. And he said he hurt his finger.
I want to touch on something real quick. When you were calling him, he eventually told you that he left his phone there. Did you hear the phone at the house?
No. If it was anywhere, it would have been upstairs and I wouldn't have heard it. It would have been in the guest bedroom.
Do you typically go upstairs?
Who, me?
Yes.
Only from doing laundry.
That was all. I was just curious if you had heard the phone when you were trying to call him that day.
I didn't. So he tells me all that. I get off the phone with him. I'm waiting. Wait for about an hour.
You know, this is a great statement, Catwoman. Maddie tried to tell her and she ignored it. No hope, help / on her own. Totally agreed. 1,000%. Mom there is no excuse for serving your child up like this. That's why we don't know a lot of the other side of this story with Mom in terms of her background.
4:04, the bell rings, and I'm waiting. I'm the first in line.
But this is not a scripted conversation.
You were in your car?
I was in my car, in the car line, yeah.
Okay.
At this point, it's been a few minutes. She should have been out by now, because she's usually one of the first kids out. She knows I'm in the front of the line. And I'm holding up the line behind me, because there's kids getting in the cars behind and they're all waiting. They can't get around me, right? So I start calling her, forgetting that I have her phone on me. I had found her phone earlier that morning. She had left it at home. And I brought it with me because she does this often. She does leave her phone.
Where was the phone at my house?
It was on top of the dresser.
Yeah, this is, hang on, let me find that one. You know, I can tell you from, and many people in this chat know what I'm going to say here. Okay. Is she involved as a horrible mother,
Downstairs,
et cetera? You know, all of the things that she's done, no question about it. I mean, she's not going to win, you know, Mother of the Year, right? Not one. Okay. But, you know, and I can understand that. I don't give a hoot about possibly abuse, respectfully. I get that. We all get that. Okay. But I can't tell you how many times I've been to situations, domestic situations. I had a caper one time where this guy was on top of the victim, pounding her head into the floor, literally while strangling her. And she had a side window on the side of the door. And my partner and I, his name was Clint Johnson, we kicked the door in and knocked him off of her, hooked him up. And as I'm walking out with the suspect, you know what she did? She hit me in the back of the head with a frying pan. Literally came behind me and boom, hit me over the head. Okay? Almost knocked me out. And we ended up taking everybody to jail. Okay? And I'm not saying I have empathy for this woman here. Don't misunderstand me. But I kind of do in some ways. Because the sexual predator here is not the mother. The sexual predator here is Stephan. He is the one 5 years ago or whatever the time is that came into their life. He is the monster. She is the enabler. And that cycle of violence, sometimes, we don't know what the totality of that cycle is yet. But let's say the cops end up putting her on the stand as a witness against that violence at some point. Okay? That is going to be really interesting because watch what happens when they put her into that situation of, look, everything is lining up here that she's not with us anymore. Okay? She's not with us anymore. And we see a paradigm shift.
Just so you know, I have a 4-bedroom townhouse.
Leaning forward.
The living room has a partition
talking
in it.
with her hands.
Like a fake wall
Let me
kind of
tell
thing.
you.
That's got her bedroom.
That's truthful.
That's got a bed, a dresser, and a desk on it. Does she sleep there? No. She'll hang out there. She'll use her computer and hang out there. That's her hangout spot. But she primarily sleeps with me every night in my bed. That's because I know the roommates wake up super early in the morning. They're going to be in the kitchen. They're going to wake her up if she's sleeping out in the living room. So I don't.
So your bedroom downstairs, her makeshift bedroom downstairs, guest bedroom upstairs?
Yes.
Got it.
And by the way, has everybody measured what she just said? Because we all have the insight into proving whether or not what she just said was truthful. And it is all truthful. And her body is presenting that same truth as she's projecting it out.
Her phone was on her dresser.
Her words are projecting it.
When I found it, I was like, oh my God, she's putting the phone down. That's great. I brought it with me to the school because I was just going to yell at her and then just hand it to her so she could have something to do on our way home. 4:10 rolls around and she's still not out, or 4:09. And then at this point, I'm feeling the pressure from the cars behind me. I'm like, okay, they're all full. They're all waiting for me to leave and she's not here yet. So I take off and I'm thinking, maybe I missed her. Maybe I forgot to tell her I was picking her up from school today because I don't know if she knew that I wasn't working. I don't know if she knew if I was off. So I asked, I don't know if I told her that I was going to get her. So I left thinking maybe she walked, that's pretty close to school. If I can't pick her up at school, that's where I tell her to be. I drove the path she would have walked. I didn't see her. I got to the office. And she goes, no, it's a little too early. And I said, okay, let me go drive back down and wait along the path she would walk and just wait. And I parked and I waited. I waited, I'm not sure how long I waited, maybe somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes. She still wasn't there, and I looked at the time and I'm like, okay, she should be back at my mom's office by now. Maybe she took a different path and I didn't see. So I went, no, she's still not here. And I'm like, that's really strange. So I call, I don't know if I text her, I call, I think I text her. And I asked, hey, or I called her. I asked, and she said, no, she didn't make it to first or second period. And I said, what do you mean? She was dropped off close to the school. She should have been in school. She goes, no, she didn't make it to first, second period. I said, please check with the rest of your friends, see if she made it to any of her other periods.
Now, she was saying that she was in the front of the line. All the kids are coming out. Maddie's typically the first one there. She doesn't show up. There's a lot of people behind her. And she's thinking, okay, well, maybe she left or didn't know I was coming. Left, drove around, looked around, going down the paths where the kids, typically go, etc. She starts communicating with the teacher, with the school, where's Maddie? And boom, she never showed up. And she's like, what do you mean? Okay. To me, that is not deception. Even the detectives aren't even reacting to that. Because when they hear something, they're going to correct it and or at least steer it into a place of, let's get this, let's make sure. Because you'll notice in the theme in this interview, the next curtain, for lack of a better term, that's going to be opened up is, look, we need to tell you something. Okay.
At some point in this, I emailed one of her teachers asking, I actually emailed a few of her teachers and 2 of them responded. One of them said, no, she did not make it to class, and I checked her attendance for the rest of the day. She wasn't in school at all. Like, he sent me a screenshot of her attendance, and it said 0, 0, 0.
You still have that on the phone?
Yes.
Okay.
You see, if she's involved in the murder, why is this? Why tell the detectives this? What's the significance of saying I went down there to pick her up. And by the way, I reached out to the school, which was all verified. So this is not a scripted conversation going on here. She is being genuine. And, you know, I hate to say this, but I just don't think the elevator goes to the top floor yet. Okay. Now, I do believe that she's known all this other stuff, the essay and a variety of other things are taking place. There's no question about that in my mind, based on just where she's sitting in the center of this, you know, couch. She's not going to tell me that, but she'll tell me about the school. And that's why they're going to pressure her. Okay? So she's being straight on this piece.
If you need to know what app, I'll tell you what app. It's a special school app. He said she was missing all day. And at this point, I start to panic and freak out because that can't be the case. She was dropped off. I had to go check her attendance at school, but the office had closed already. The lights were off. I could see a student sitting in there in the darkness, but I couldn't see any of the administrators or anybody in the office. Lights were off, everything was closed. They wouldn't allow me in. I think at this point the teacher had responded to me and told me she didn't make it to school at all. I start having like a freak out panic attack. And
are you still just you at this point? Is it you and Stephan?
It's me and my sister.
Okay, so now they're hearing that she never made it to the school and she's having this freak out going here, okay? But here's the other side of that coin. She's got family members with her when this is kind of melting down. Stephan's not with her, okay? And one of the interesting things that, for obvious reasons here, is, you know, later on, you know, she makes that comment, my mother's never liked him, okay? Well, you women have a gift. I mean, Dina, you guys have a gift that you just know. You just absolutely know, you know, when that creepy guy has entered into the room. But I think with her, she wasn't even listening to her mom or her family because, you know, everybody came together, let's go find her. And this other guy is out there, you know, telling the story. And that's why he asked him, was it you? You know, who's with you in that car? And she puts it to a family affair.
And I want to say one of Catherine. I start panicking, and I think at this point I call Stephan and I tell him, hey, because she didn't make it. She's absent today. There's no attendance of her at all today.
Now, see, that's a spontaneous statement as well. At this point, I call Stephan and tell him. Now, that's not concealing. Usually, you know, a murder suspect or somebody that knows a murder has gone down would not tell you, and I called my partner just to let him know that she's not here. Okay. That in of itself is, these guys are now going, okay, where's this going? How much does she know? How much does she know?
Well, like right now, and he said, okay, I'll be there. And he came to the office, and there for like 3 hours, I think. Eventually I contact one of my friends whose husband works, or ex-husband works for OCP, or for you guys.
Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I messaged him and I talked to him and I asked him what I should be doing because you guys aren't responding quick enough.
Do you know his name? Where he works?
Yes. Nick Mann.
Okay.
Or Mahon. Not
Do you
sure.
know what he does here?
I think he works for SWAT.
You see, that's another piece of this puzzle. They went to that cop and said, hey, did she call you? And if so, what did she say?
Figure it out.
Yeah.
He tell you to wait.
I can't remember anymore. I think he let us know that there were other kids missing in the area, which is why you guys weren't responding quick enough. I think an 8 and a 9-year-old had gone missing around the same time too, in a playground.
Now remember, there was
tell their
another
mom they were on
child.
the playground or something like
So
that.
what she's telling is the truth.
So all the
Because
cops
the
had,
dispatch held the
were
call
over there on that side of Hunter's Creek.
for the other side of the other kid.
My
And
sister's
even the first responding
boyfriend,
officer, the
ex-boyfriend.
patrol officer, when he was talking to her, went to his partner, went to that partner and said, man, why'd they hold this call? Why'd they hold this call? So what she's saying here is I called my friend who works for the Orange County Sheriff's Department and told them what's going on and what's taking so long for you guys to get here. And he allegedly tells her, based on what we just heard, well, there's another kid missing too in the area. Now that in of itself is 1,000% verifiable. That is not deceptive behavior at this point. Okay? Now, the other stuff, again, we're going to get to it. But they're measuring her. They're measuring her before they, remember what they're doing is they're slowly turning the gas up. And she's just sitting there like a frog in the pot and it's starting to get warm. But the frog doesn't realize it's getting boiled here. Okay?
Boyfriend, whatever he is, thought it would be a good idea to go to the park and talk to a cop there and see if he could bring a cop back, and that's what he did.
Okay.
And then at that point, that's when the cops started asking us questions, taking a report. Interviewing me, they interviewed Stephan.
Not yet, but that's a great
They
comment.
asked Stephan to take them back to the location where he dropped them off, and he showed them wherever he dropped her off. They were looking for cameras along the path, and I don't think they found any cameras along the way to see if there was any video recordings. I think.
Did Stephan go with them in their patrol cars, or did he drive himself when they followed? How did that work?
I think he went with them in the patrol car.
Okay.
That was a test.
Then they came back. And then that's it. Everything was done. The cops were done. We were done.
What time? You remember what time that was on Monday?
It was after dark. It was say 8 o'clock.
What did you guys go do after that?
We were in separate cars, me and Stephan.
Okay.
I ugly cried on the way home. I shouldn't have been driving. But I ugly cried on the way home, and I went straight home. And then the first thing I did was call Fox 35 News to see if we can like air some missing children information out there.
When you say ugly cry, just overly emotional tears, makeup running, or is there like what is your meaning of ugly crying?
Sobbing where I couldn't see the road, and I shouldn't have been driving, like I was swerving.
Makes sense. Did Fox 35 come out to your house, or what was their response?
They responded the following day. I think we did a Zoom video interview.
Did Stephan follow you home?
I don't know if he followed me, but he drove home, yeah.
I mean, was it within a reasonable time when you got there? Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Drove home. We waited there. We didn't know what to do. I stayed up late. I think I called Fox 35. What else did I do? I think I had to eventually eat.
Okay, so now notice again, we have the shift of her hands, her hand placement here. Okay. The reason why I want to point this out again, because it becomes very important here in a few, to where she again is comforting herself, and that is this is a blocking, right? She's got one hand over the other. It's a blocking mechanism, but she's covering, down by her private parts. Okay. Now, that could be a subconscious connection potentially that she's signaling into, an SA awareness. And this is why the 50-50 still in the center of the couch. Should I? Shouldn't I? Maybe, perhaps. She hasn't positioned herself up, but one time when she felt like she was running out of gas and she leaned over on that pillow, remember? And when the phone was taken. And now, though, she's back into this control mechanism, for lack of a better term, where her emotions are starting to express themselves through her not only her verbiage, but what she's saying, in my opinion. And you'll notice the detectives there wide open, straight across from her, listening to her. She's focused on him. Okay. She is trying to hide something now at this juncture. There's something going on here. And they're going to press that button here in a couple of minutes. They can feel it coming. And you can feel it coming when you're in those rooms. You can feel it.
He was going to go out cruising that night to go look for her.
Look at her feet. They're starting to fidget.
I even questioned that. I asked him, are you sure it's a good idea?
Watch his foot. Look at the detective's foot on the left.
Let's just wait to see if
his right foot, he can feel it coming. You see, he's leaking his own stress.
He said he was going to take a drive out. I had completely forgotten about him wanting to take the drive, or that he actually did it. And it wasn't confirmed to me until the following day, where agents came to the house and we sat in the car for a good amount of time. And I noticed the chair was adjusted. And I said, did you drive my car? And he said, yeah, remember I said I was going out last night. That's right, you did say that.
Can he tell you where he looked?
I think he said up and down 192. And I said, why there?
You see, that statement is a confrontational statement between her and him, Stephan. She confronts him with, where did you go? What? And so that causes her anxiety. That anxiety is maybe where we're starting to see some additional movement
I don't
in
know,
her feet.
I'm just looking. I was just trying to look anywhere.
I think the guy to the left, the detective to the left, if you look at that right foot,
Did you say if you found anything or talked
it's
to anybody?
moving, man. See, there's her feet moving.
Yeah, right.
See, it's up. It's kind of up on the heel.
When you were getting ready for bed, you were tired, emotional, were you falling asleep when he left, or were you already asleep when he left?
I was already asleep when he left.
Okay.
Hands underneath her now.
Yeah, you
She's getting uncomfortable.
When you woke up, was he already awake, or was he still sleeping?
Because now we're getting to the
He was asleep in
day.
the bedroom upstairs.
The guest bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you take your medication that night?
I did.
What did you guys do Tuesday? Or just you? You guys, if you're not together, you're not together. What's the timeline on Tuesday?
Tuesday, he slept. I woke up early and started making phone calls to like the National Hotline for Missing and Exploited Children. I called the number that the sheriff's office had given me to see if they had any information, and they let me know that she was like the what did she say she was? I don't remember what she said her position was, but she had just gotten into the office and was just starting to work on it, so she didn't have anything new for me. Her name was Bonnie Mitchell, I remember that. She asked me to send her some photos. The National Exploited Children's Hotline Place asked me for photos as well. I think at this point,
I'm not
I had
having
asked my
problems with
friends
this.
and family
This
to
is a
start
true
contacting
statement
news
of what I'm hearing.
outlets to try to get as much attention on this as possible.
Yeah, whoops, we can ask, I don't know what just happened, but hang on for a minute. I got to figure that out for a second. I just hit a button by accident. Hang on, let me see where did it go? Sorry about that, guys. Operator error. My bad.
You guys sleep clothed, unclothed? I sleep clothed.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
Sure.
Okay, we're still ahead.
I'm sure you're questioning a lot of things that like you haven't been told or that.
2017, he wasn't staying over my house. It started in 2018 when we started hooking up, and he started sleeping over my house.
Okay.
And what were your next question?
Was that in the current
Yes.
house you live in now?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you lived in that house?
On and off, because at one point we moved close to where his parents live right now.
And what he's doing here, for obvious reasons, everybody knows by this point, he's establishing boundaries in relationship to mom, daughter, Stephan. What are the boundaries? Where are they? What are they? How did they get to the point where they did? Where did you meet this guy? Tell us about your early relationship, etc. And what he's obviously trying to establish here is an understanding of what type of knowledge she had going back to the very first types of contacts between, the suspect and her daughter. Did she have knowledge of all of these contacts? Because they have the photographs. And, I have had many cases where many family members had no idea what was going on with their daughter or their son. None. And the suspect, remember, we have to always keep this in perspective that the suspect in this situation is Stephan right now. Now, and we talked about this earlier, can she have knowledge and enabling and all the other stuff that go along with the things that were ultimately discovered? Absolutely. And that's, again, this idea of, but did she know he was going to kill her that day? Or is this a situation where he killed her and now she is carrying that weight of guilt in relationship to, what did I do? i.e., why didn't I stop this? How could I, not how could I have stopped it, but maybe she's processing all of this other stuff going on. And what they're trying to do is establish what exactly that process is and how far back does it go.
They live in North Port, Florida, Sarasota County. I lived in Port Charlotte, which is Charlotte County, the county right next door. We had an apartment there for like 6 to 8 months. We moved down there because, again, Stephan was promised a job and that fell through. So we supported ourselves in this tiny apartment for a little while until I ran out of funds.
Do you remember what year that was?
2020.
So when did you live in Port Charlotte in 2020?
I don't remember what month I moved in, but I remember moving out in November.
Of 2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was some...
No, and that is a red flag that she's not using Maddie's name. I agree to that 1,000%. That is a problem. Very problematic.
In 2017, 2018? Six.
I think here he's laying down, look, he's going to turn the heat up here a little bit more. And he's kind of letting her know. Notice the other guy has set the notebook down. So he wants to lean in. or make her think there's more coming here. Okay? But their posture is, and her posture is just with no sound. By the way, this has all been redacted, probably because they're dropping the bombs here about, look, we're not sure what you know. We're not sure how far you are deep into this thing. But we've got to tell you right now, this is a situation that is out of control, yada, yada. And this is the conversation where it ends up.
At the same time, no. But I've had ex-husbands and ex-boyfriends live in that same house.
How many times have you let them be together and that kind of stuff? And then he's going to get to, look, let's just call it as it is. And notice she was leaning forward like, what's going on? So this part, we're going to have to hear it in court.
You were to Port Charlotte sometime in 2020 for a few months.
Yeah.
And then you came back to the same house.
After Port Charlotte, I went back to my mom's house for a little while.
I think what he was probably trying to establish there is, what did you know back in 2020? Because he knows, and they both know, what kind of pictures they have. And they're trying to establish, what did you know at that time? And if you knew it, did you let this monster back into your house? And if so, what's going through your mind?
A little while.
Where's that at?
In Hunters Creek, Florida.
Got it.
Even before Port Charlotte, actually, the few months before I was in Port Charlotte, I was living at my mom's house.
With Stephan.
Around March 20, decided he wanted to renovate the house and possibly sell it, so he told us to get out. So March 2020, so around COVID time, like 2 weeks after COVID was announced, I moved in with my mom.
Okay.
And I lived with her for a little bit, and then the Port Charlotte apartment happened. We moved to Port Charlotte, were there for a few months, came back to live with my mom, was there for a few months, and then I decided to move back. That he was moving out and like getting an RV and like living the RV life.
Yeah.
So he needed somebody to take care of the house for him. So I said, yeah, I would do it, of course. So I moved in. I moved into his bedroom, downstairs, the master bedroom.
Now here's an interesting thought. And I'm going to talk about Stephan just for a second. These guys just don't happen. Okay? They just don't happen. They are a product of sexual deviant behavior. They are a product of learning how to manipulate, to lie, to conceal, to hide, to be a chameleon. And sometimes they can, get it past their family. Sometimes they can't. One of the things that I would want to be paying attention to is if I was the investigator, and we'll go watch his interview again, and I'll break that down. But one of the things I want to know in his, what we call a suspectology, is how old were you when you had your very first exposure? Okay. Remember, for Ted Bundy, it started out on, dirty magazines, and then it went to, the store where they used to have all the stuff, tucked away in the background. But today, the fact that there is so much fuel available, but at what age was this fuel available to Stephan? And at what point did he try to introduce it potentially into the relationship? And or at what point, because a lot of times it is a father figure, not necessarily the father, but a father figure who accelerates the exposure. Okay. And so at what point did, one question I've been asking myself through this, and I've not yet seen the answer, is where did he get it, the fuel, and at what point in his age, his development, did he first see it and grip it? Because you just don't wake up with 3 thumb drives of 35,000 pornographic photographs of children hidden away on thumb drive somewhere. At his father's house, by the way. And remember, they recovered those thumb drives, I believe, at his father's house and or the storage facility. Okay, so there is a lot more information here, and so they're going back in their heads, going, okay, when was Maddie first exposed to this guy? That's what they're trying to figure out in this conversation.
Eventually, Stephan did come.
See, they're not focusing on her. They're trying to focus on when the first exposure was, i.e., when did victimology Madeline show up into this guy's environment?
It wasn't until like June of last year that.
See, he's coming and going. And I think what they're trying to figure out here.
And go upstairs to the guest bedroom upstairs because I just.
What they're trying to figure out here is, okay, when did she have knowledge? And if she did, what knowledge did she have? Because we've got all this other stuff going on behind the scenes. And if she knew about it, why is she letting this guy back into the environment with a potential, her daughter? That's what's going on here.
He's not a very clean guy. He's kind of a little hoarder and a collector. So just my house was always a mess and never the way that I wanted it to look. Or the clutter just gave me anxiety. So I asked him to move upstairs and he did. And he lived upstairs until until December of last year. And then he moved to Northport, Florida with his parents. But they had promised him a job, but that fell through. So we were in the process of trying to get him to come back up here to get his job back at Disney and for him to move back into the house for a little bit. And I'm not sure long term. I know temporarily I was willing to accept him back.
Was that something out of convenience for him because you?
See, they're talking about Stephan.
A little bit of both. We missed him. And I wanted to help him out, like make it easy, like give him a place, like a base to start at, and then for him to start looking for something else afterwards on his own. But yeah.
You obviously.
I think she is being honest here. Look at her hands. They made that's a little stress. They're kind of, maybe sweaty a little bit.
Like your kind of day to day with her.
This is not being deceptive.
I would have said
she's
a
thinking.
normal relationship. I asked, she would tell me. I didn't think she was hiding anything from me. I didn't think she was lying to me about anything, but obviously she had secrets.
I mean, the hindsight, all the stuff you found out over the past couple of days, we're taking that out of the picture, your relationship with her.
Okay.
Like not looking back saying, okay, I was being lied to, like up.
I want to physically watch her take her meds and watch her grab 2, take them. I don't ever.
No.
Wait a minute.
Steve was a big portion of your life at one point. Stephan was a big portion of your life at one point. And this is not me coming at you as a person or a bad person.
Okay, so here he's going to, now we're going to turn a little gas on, and you saw the other detective, and he just kind of like, okay, what, who's selling soggy bread? I'm not buying any more soggy bread. Let's get into it here. And so now they're going to set up, the play here, and you look at her body, look at her positioning. Immediately she goes into the comfort level here, but she's starting to, they're going to get into some really interesting concepts.
In the past, in the past, in the past. We can't change the past. Has he ever expressed to you? Never. Has he ever made statements about made you feel different?
No.
Okay. When you guys slept in the same bed together, in the middle, did you ever wake up and find them cuddling? Did you ever wake up and find them closer than you thought they should be?
They would snuggle, yeah.
Okay.
But we all snuggle. I didn't think that was that problem.
So if you guys are sleeping in the same bed and she's in the center, you've woken up and they're snuggling, they're under the same blanket, they're not under the same blanket?
No.
But just like
she's got her own blanket.
Spooning for what? What is snuggling to you? Because to me, snuggling, spooning, big spoon, little spoon.
He would lay down like this, and she would be right here in the nook.
Okay. How do you guys sleep? Do you guys sleep clothed, unclothed? I sleep clothed. Yeah. Shirt, pants, pajama sets.
Yes.
Everybody.
I sleep in like my everyday clothes.
Okay.
On pajamas or baggy t-shirts and shorts.
You see that there is just something disconnected here with her that they know it, we know it, everybody knows it. The elevator's not going to the top floor, but the question is, why is that? Okay, why is that? Why is she not processing a guy sleeping in his boxers, sleeping next to his daughter, waking up, cuddling her in the morning, and she next door, i.e. the three of them in the same bed? This isn't the Beverly Hillbillies, where everybody jumps in the same room, or, Charlie from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where everybody's in the same bed. Okay. They're trying to figure out, I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute, what the heck are you saying here? Okay. You're saying that you're okay with all of this? What's going on? And here's the sad part. I don't think she knows. And I don't know if that's the medication. I don't know if it's intention. I don't know if it's past experience. I don't know if she really knows how to process that piece of the puzzle here. Okay. How, to understand what the totality of this is yet. Okay. Because I still think she's in denial, yet at the same time, she's taking medication for bipolar disorder. Okay. But at the same time, she demonstrates exactly how they lay down in the bedroom. And, Maddie's right here. And she even, shows us right here on this demonstration.
Okay.
And Stephan would sleep with his t-shirt or boxers, sometimes with his pants on, but he didn't have pajamas.
Okay, so they would snuggle, sometimes him being in his boxers. You would wake up and she'd be in the nook of his arm, essentially in a cuddling position. And you never found that weird?
No.
Okay. Again, you and I may find things different.
Did you?
Why? And I don't want you to look back on it.
See, I mean, look how she just answered that. Did you see any, and she goes, no. Jenn is, and I'm trying to be sensitive yet at the same time logical here for her. At the same time, she is a predator's dream type of personality. She's a dream come true for predatorial behavior. I mean, they've had years together. She's aware that she has said on numerous occasions, yeah, you guys, Even the night, before, you guys go to bed. Okay, I'm sleeping downstairs here because I've got to get some sleep. Okay. There is no question that she's the person that says, oh, the gun? Yeah, it's in the third drawer on the right. Make sure the 5-year-old has it. Okay. There is no question that's how she is. And there's no question that she may know there's more information about the SA. What I would try to be figuring out is why? Why is this happening here? Not, not post the homicide, but before the homicide. Because I got to be honest with you, from what I've seen in this entire interview, I don't think she knew he was going to kill her. And that's probably why she's not in a set of bracelets right now. Okay? They may need her to testify against him. And, can they charge her with some kind of crime? I don't know what the statutes are in Florida, but at this point, I don't see enough to say, yeah, she's part of this, i.e. the homicide. And let's keep them separate now, okay? The sexual abuse and all of that, maybe there's problems there. And we've said this from the beginning. But I don't think she's complacent to where she knew that day, that morning, that afternoon. I think she came around to understanding, holy cow, he's probably your guy. In fact, she even says it a couple of times.
Now you victimized her for a long time, right? Under your roof. With you home, most likely, because you said you're always home. You just got this job. You've been living off disability. I know the Kissimmee Police Department has showed you pictures. I know they've verbally explained to you some pictures. I can tell you that today, we are still downloading his Google Drives. We are still going through his social medias, his cloud-based servers, and everything else. And we can now piece back her victimization in your house under your care to 2020. I believe we've gone as far back as in when she... So when I ask, they've woken up cuddling, did you find things suspicious? Did you have an open relationship? He talked to you, has he made inappropriate statements? It's almost like cheating, right? Like, have you ever been cheated on? Okay. Somebody can only cheat on somebody for so long until they fuck up, or until something comes out, or somebody says something, right? So if we go back to 2020, we're looking at a minimum of 3.5 years. 3.5 years where I'm sure you guys are sexually active. Yes. So for 3.5 years under your care in your house, not only is he being sexually active with you, he had a sexual relationship.
Now I'm reading this as one of two ways. That she knows the gig's up. And by the way, I gotta compliment the investigator again. He's as cool as a cucumber, and man, is his delivery slick. I absolutely love these two guys. And if anybody wants to see how it's done, these two guys are doing it. Okay. He's personalizing it, meaning, by the way, none of us are going home until this is all resolved, i.e. even all the investigators. And he laid it out there with, the FBI, the Florida, blah, 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 all the different agencies. And by the way, none of us are going home until this is resolved. And what he did is just turn the gas up a little bit more. Okay. But now he's hitting her with, look, this has been going on for quite some time. And help us understand, he's not saying it, but I think we all can agree. What he is saying is, how do you not know about this? I've got kids. None of that would have happened with me. And the frog is starting to jump out of, trying to get up out of the water.
And I know it's an emotional thing, and I know it sucks to hear, but where I'm coming from is it seems like something that you can't hide forever. You guys live in a small space, close quarters, you sleep in the same bed, you guys all talk, you guys all share things, you're an observant person for the most part, I assume. Outside of taking medications and going to sleep, it seems very difficult. A lot of grown-ass adults can't hide an affair with somebody who doesn't live with them, let alone somebody who does live with them. So at a certain point, I do believe you became aware of what was going on.
No.
And when I say that, it doesn't mean you're in trouble. It doesn't change.
I know, but
I do believe.
Now, what he did there was a technique to where you mitigate risk. It's kind of like the old, if that 6-year-old wasn't wearing the bathing suit, she probably wouldn't have tempted you. Okay? That's the same principle. And you get these, these SA offenders who go, oh, yeah, had that 6-year-old not had that bathing suit on, I wouldn't have touched her. Okay, so that's what he's doing there. He's saying it doesn't make you a bad person, okay? And so he's mitigating her risk, her exposure
That a reasonable
emotionally.
person, I consider you a reasonable person, right? Do you think you're a reasonable person?
yes.
Would be aware that under her roof, sexual relationship.
I had no idea.
The videos, the text messages, the images, they're all documented forever. This has been an ongoing thing. And at her age, I think she probably thought they were in a relationship. She probably thought they were in love because he her male attention, right? She just started liking boys, right? She just got a crush. Up until then, her crush at the same time, you guys are sleeping in the same bed together. You guys are all cohabitating. She's not sleeping in her room. But you felt the need to establish a rule that they couldn't sleep in the same room. But when you established that rule, for 3 years, she's already been dating him, essentially.
I had
Whether
no
that's
idea.
legal or not.
I had no idea.
So I truthfully believe, and this is my belief, I'm not speaking for other detectives, I'm not speaking for the sheriff's office, the state police department, or any other agency I've said. This is Kevin's belief. I believe that you became aware of your sexual relationship. I think at a certain point throughout this relationship, you became aware of it. And for whatever reason, your reasons are your reasons, whether it was discussed that it would stop, whether it was discussed how it would go, that you feel some sense of guilt. A lot of the news statements you've given kind of, again, my opinion only, I don't speak for anybody else, whether it's in this room or out of this room, bother me. It seems like some of your emotion, up until this room, I think some of the emotion in this room is sincere. I think a lot of it's because I'm being an asshole. I'm telling you things you don't want to hear that shouldn't be said out loud. But when you talk to the news...
That's a great technique, self-blame. That's a reflective. What you're looking for in that situation is what we call reflective behavior. You notice he's kind of insulted her, but simultaneously he's really reflecting back on and saying, but, I'm being the Adam Henry, he said it, okay? And she's just taking it and she's listening through it, okay? But he's leading her, he's turning the water up.
When you talk to deputies, it feels, based on my experience in this job, that it's not sincere. I feel like some of your sadness is not real sadness. I feel like when you gave the interview with Fox 35, it was not sincere. Looking at that video one time, I didn't feel like your cries were sincere. And I'm not saying that because you're a bad person. I feel like sometimes people struggle to show real emotion when they're aware of what the truth is. So it has to be fake. This is demise for the past, let's say, 5 years, right? But her going missing, her disappearance, if you have knowledge of how it happened, where it happened, an inclination, that emotion's not going to feel sincere because you're already aware of what happened.
I would.
It's almost becomes
If
a
I
lie
knew,
at that point.
if I knew anything, I promise you, I would tell you. Like, I am willing to take a lie detector test, whatever the fuck you want, but I don't know anything. He's never mentioned anything. I've never seen any signs. I tried watching her like a hawk. I thought I was doing a good job, but I wasn't. I was oblivious to everything. 4 years?
Minimum. That's just how that far back the cloud goes.
Okay, that's what we would call an expressive denial. And what's important here is the fact that her body language is going up towards her face, her hands, they're, comforting motions and stuff. So that can be interpreted in a variety of different ways, but the fact that she is what I've just said a minute ago, an expressive denial, is, I'll take an F and, this polygraph test, this and that, and then she goes up towards her face.
And I find it hard to believe for me that
she's
you were
trying
so
to
worried
figure
about
out
how many pills
how
she
do I
took
keep
at
this
night.
emotion
But not where
inside.
she slept or what relationship she was in.
And notice he's keeping the
His
heat on.
interest in her.
I thought we were all safe. I thought because
She's
that
repositioning.
he hadn't shown me anything
He's making her feel
so
uncomfortable.
far.
The
Like,
other
everything
guy's leaning
seems fine.
back,
Like, he seemed
assessing. Okay,
like
where's
he
she
treated
going
her
here?
Like he
But
treats
here's
you.
one of the problems. She's open. She's open.
In his mind.
so fucking disgusting.
This is a comfort.
So now he's in jail because of what we
She's
found on his
grabbing
phone.
her
Not because
stomach
somebody came
area, her
forward and
uterus
reported that he
area.
abuse.
No, I know.
She's not old enough to consent. She's not old enough to have a thought process to even want anything that was happening to her. It's abuse. So he's in jail for that, but something caused what right? We searched murder because we can call it a murder. She didn't die naturally. She didn't overdose. She didn't have a heart attack. We circled murder on Monday. Something had to cause that. He's been having unrestricted sexual activity for a long time. He's getting what he wants from her, probably from you, and who knows whoever else, right? So it's not like he woke up or went to bed Sunday and he was like, you know what? I'm done with this, but I'm going to kill her. Something happened. People don't just wake up and like, you know what? They leave people, they break up with people, but usually things cause people to snap. Now what, you know what? And I'm in trouble, or I feel like I'm going to, or him being out, we can go even worse. She's pregnant.
That's what questions last night led me to believe when we started talking about her period.
I was told that her and her friend and
Okay, now listen how she responded to that. He got to the point where he goes, is she pregnant? Pause. And her response is, I got to that after you guys started talking to me about that.
and granted,
You see, and he has to acknowledge it. Yeah, granted. You see, if she had knowledge of that, that would have been a different answer.
I'm male, never had a period, but that somebody found it weird that they were no longer on the same cycle. Could be different because she's a teenage girl. Could be that she missed her period. Have you ever found a pregnancy test at home that wasn't yours?
I have two underneath the bathroom sink, but I haven't seen if they're still there or not.
Okay. But
You see, that also is a truthful statement, because what she's doing is she's offering a solution to a possibility of a theory. She says, I've got 2 pregnancy tests underneath the cabinets. I'll have to check on those and get back with you, essentially. That's the gist of it. Okay. Why are you offering those tests? Because that is a truthful statement. It is not the court of public opinion. That's, if I was sitting in that room, I'd be going, okay, well, maybe she doesn't know.
You haven't seen any used ones in the trash?
No.
Their relationship hasn't changed?
No.
Okay. So what do you think happened Sunday? Other than him killing her, what do you think made him snap?
Listen how that question was presented. What do you think happened to her other than him killing her? What made him snap? That is a question that is loaded with information. What do you think happened to her other than him killing her? What made him snap? There are 3 questions in one. Okay? Let's hear how she answers it.
I don't know. Theories, I keep hearing
Tell me your theories, because here's the deal. We don't go home until she's found.
No.
You see there? The first comment's out of her mouth. I don't know. And so what does he do? He turns up the heat to say, nobody goes home until we all find out, i.e. all the police officers, all the FBI, everybody working on this. No, nobody's leaving, including yourself, until we all figure this out. We need to find this.
I know.
So what are your theories?
And she acknowledges, I know,
What I
nobody's
heard
going
is,
home.
What if she upset him and threatened to tell me and say that she was going to tell me, and he needed to shut that down?
Now, one thing we all need to pay attention to is he asked those 3 questions, and one of those was more of a statement, other than him killing her, and she hasn't buckled.
Only thing.
What do you think?
Now it's a transfer over to the bad guy. What do you think?
I don't want to believe he killed her. But from what you guys are telling me, he must have killed her Sunday night and snuck her body out in the morning. That photo you guys showed me of her slumped in the car.
You don't want to believe he killed her.
I want to believe she's still alive and that she got kidnapped, but that doesn't seem like that's the case at all.
Yeah.
I know.
See, that's an interesting question. He leans back. The detective, Kevin, great job. You don't want to believe that he killed her. Okay? Meaning he's given her an out.
I know, my brain just wants to believe.
He's testing it.
I just want to believe she's still alive. She's out there.
Did he tell you he fucked up?
No. He acted so normal that day. He was like, I'm so impressed. We got out of the house so early. Like, she made great time. We had so much time to go to McDonald's, but she didn't want to. His story was so fun. Like, every detail was so believable. He's just been lying this whole time. Like,
What about that day in the car when you offered him a lawyer? Did you disclose anything to you there that made you feel like, oh fuck, he needs a lawyer?
No. He kept acting like he didn't know what was happening, and I'm like, don't you see forensics? Don't you see they took your phone? Like, something's happening. Like, I think they're gonna pin this on you. And I'm like, in my head I'm going, they have the wrong guy. Like, they're just honing in on the last person who saw her. But no, you guys knew more.
You never said, what did you do?
I've never asked him any of that. I still, even
even up until when we got here to the police station, I was convinced that he hadn't done anything to her at all.
Because of him or because of not wanting to believe she's deceased?
Because of him. Because I thought he was a good guy.
So up until this morning, you still think that it's not?
No.
You're talking about the other day?
Up until.
When we took him?
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot what day of the week that was.
So we're still going through his phone, his drive, like I told you, all his socials. We can date back to 2020. Based on the videos, it appears that was the start of the victimization. Okay, are we going to find anything in his phone with you?
No. We never done anything. We've never done anything.
Has there ever been a request for the two of you to participate in sexual activity with him?
No.
Regardless of you saying no or yes?
No, he's never asked that.
Okay, what he's doing is obvious. He's trying to make sure that he's given her a chance to deny it. Remember, I always talk about how important lies are. Barry Morphew is a good example of, the FBI asking her lies. And what he's doing here is he's given her an opportunity to lie. Because if they find stuff on her phone or his phone that's connected to her in any way, shape, or form, okay, she's toast. And we can put a piece of toast into the chat if they end up finding something in the long run.
Okay. If we find pictures like that, is that going to surprise you? Like if I'm in his Google Drive, if I have a sex crimes detective, a computer person look at his phone, and they tell me, hey Kevin, I found a picture engaged in sexual activity or borderline sexual activity, is that going to surprise you?
Yes, because that doesn't exist.
Okay. At any time
That's
during
an
the course of the
expressive
relationship,
denial.
has he expressed that he has ever had sex with a child?
No. Not a child, but when he told me when he was in high school, he graduated high school like later, like older than 18.
Okay.
He dated.
Okay, now one interesting thing is they haven't charged her with anything, and her expressive denial was like, no, it doesn't exist. You would think by now, had they found something, just like they did with him initially, they probably would have hooked her up.
Somebody younger than 18. I think she was 15. But I don't know how old he was, 19, 20. But he was an older kid in high school. He graduated late. But he had a really young girlfriend. Her name was Kendall. And I thought that was weird. I was like, that's a little too young. He goes, no, it's fine. We were in high school. Everything was normal. Her parents loved me. Blah, 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 blah. But that's the only one.
Have you ever gone through his phone?
Whom
Okay. If you had to, knowing Stephan, knowing where he lives, knowing where he goes, how he conducts his life, give me your top 5. Because I know you haven't thought about it. If you haven't thought about it, that's another weird thing I got. Since Monday, right? We told you on Wednesday that we think he did it.
Yeah.
So from Wednesday till today, it's about 48 hours. Give me your top 5 places you think are possibilities based on knowing him, based on knowing his path of travel. Where do you think, it doesn't have to be based on evidence, just in your gut, give me your top 5 places where you think he...
in this area.
Doesn't have to be this area.
No, I know.
Anywhere you want.
I'm saying in this area, I have no idea. Orlando, Kissimmee, no idea where he could have taken her. But his trip to Northport is weird as fuck. I feel like in Northport, he knows more people. He has more friends. There could be a place and somewhere there he could have stashed her. You guys said he went into a storage unit. That would be another place to look. But there's plenty of woods around his house. Around that exit is kind of secluded. Like
When you say his house, you mean his parents' house?
His parents' house, yeah.
Now, that could have been a slip. She's talking about, and I'm going to hear this again because this is the first time I've heard that part. I hope I'm wrong. She's talking about the storage facility, but she also says there's plenty of woods. I got to hear this again.
In this area,
Doesn't have to be this area.
no, I know.
Anywhere you want.
I'm saying in this area, I have no idea. Orlando, Kissimmee, no idea where he could have taken her. But his trip to Northport is weird as fuck. I feel like in Northport, he knows more people. He has more friends. There could be a place and somewhere there he could have stashed her. You guys said he went into a storage unit. That would be another place to look. But there's plenty of woods around his house, around that egg.
She said that, didn't she? Did you guys hear that? There's plenty of woods around his house. That's stashed her. Yeah, so very impersonal, right? Very impersonal, talking about her daughter. Extremely impersonal. But, plenty of woods. All right, I'll guarantee you, Kevin, if he heard that correctly, which I think we all just heard.
It's kind of secluded. Like,
problematic.
When you say his house, you mean his parents' house?
His parents' house, yeah.
You've been there? Have you seen the property?
Yeah, I've been there before.
Do they have the land? Or is it in like a neighborhood?
So, it's not a neighborhood because they don't have HOA. You just buy the plot of land and build it. They don't have many neighbors.
Okay.
Or last I saw, I think there was a neighbor building right next door, but I don't know if they're done yet. I just feel like he had more, there would have been more spots in Northport for her to be dumped.
Okay. This is getting really good. This is going to be the good part. Okay, so we're 2 hours into this, and I want to do a part 2, if you guys are okay with that, tomorrow night. I would like to do a part 2 because I don't want to jam this into 4 hours. If you guys are okay with that, and if you'd be good with letting me do that tomorrow night, I want to hear, now that I just heard that piece, I want to listen a little more intent, and to come back, tomorrow, because for me, that just kind of was like, wait a minute, that's not like something that just happens. And even you can see the detective on the right, his hand went up to his head, his foot went up, and somebody heard that either in the monitoring room or whatever. But I just think it would be really important for me to make sure that I'm saying the right things in this situation without just shooting from the hip. Especially after hearing that, because that kind of gives me a different concept. So if you guys are okay with that, then I will put a part 2 together tomorrow, and I will see you back here at about the same time, and we'll rock and roll. Are you guys good? Okay. Well, thank you so much. Then we'll do part 2 tomorrow. Have a blessed evening. Take care of your families, and let's go to Hawaii. Aloha.
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts, wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah, make special memories together. I'll be your company now and forever. I say we fly away, you and me, go to our favorite place. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. I need a summer breeze, some fresh air to put my mind at ease. No cares. You wanna come with me? Me and you go to our favorite tree. Are you ready now? We jump on a plane now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. Don't hesitate now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. We'll never come down. We're going away. Yeah, we're going away. You and me. Feeling the sun on my face in a while.